Hello, I'm Deanna Herron, host of the Deanna Herron Podcast Show. Have you ever wanted to do something bold, like start a business, write a book, or go for your dream job? This show was created for women just like you who want to be bold, shine bright with grace. My goal is to educate you, inspire you, and empower you with ideas that can transform your life. Be inspired by the Deanna Herron Podcast Show at deannaherron.net. Hello, and welcome to the Deanna Herron Podcast Show. This show is created for the woman who wants to be bold, to shine bright with grace. My goal is to educate you, inspire you, and empower you with ideas that can transform your life. Thank you so much for joining me on today's podcast. This podcast is a little bit unusual today because I am such a personal growth and development junkie, and I love talking about belief and mindset. But today we're going to talk about something that's just a little bit different, but it is something that you will need as a tool in your tool belt. So for those of you who know, this podcast is designed for those that want to level up, who want to be a leader of leaders and want to be out of their comfort zone. And so I know that's you because you are on this podcast today. So I want to explain to you my journey. Over the last 20 years, maybe more, as a leader, I have been on this personal journey to observe and collect habits, character traits, and just, things that I could really help me in my success. And I've collected those from some very highly successful people. Some I have incorporated into my life, and some I will be incorporating into my life. But I have invested in lots of conferences, personal coaches, etc. And I've been surrounded by millionaires and billionaires, and I have really taken note of the habits that they have created. When you look at a successful person, you're seeing a very disciplined person. But what you have to understand is that discipline comes from all of the habits that we have gradually added into our life. And so today I want to talk to you about a habit that, if incorporated, could absolutely be a game changer for your productivity. And it is about scheduling. And I know we all have our own idea of what scheduling is about, but I'm not going to take that for granted because there was so much that I could learn and have learned on how to schedule appropriately to increase the amount of things that I could get done throughout the week. So it really increases my productivity. I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and I promise you I'm not judging at all because I have experienced all of these in my life. So do you ever find yourself frantically jumping out of bed, grabbing a donut, putting your clothes on, and out the door to rush to work? That was totally me, 100%. I walked into work and I felt frazzled. I felt completely out of control. And to be quite honest, my day was controlling me, and I had no control over my day. Can you relate to that? I think we can all relate to that at some point. When my children were young, just that extra minute of sleep I really thought would help me with my energy, but we all know it's just a busy time in our lives, right? Another question for you. Do you ever feel you don't have a plan or a direction for your day? Are you busy being busy instead of being busy being productive? That was definitely me. I was always busy trying to get ready to be busy. So I was always trying to organize how I could make things work to be busy, which is just the silliest thing ever. But basically I was busy being busy. So how much do you really get done by the end of the week? Is that something that you ever track? Do you really know what you accomplished? So I'm going to share with you some tips that will help you with all areas that I just talked about. When I was practicing medicine, I'm trained as a physician's assistant. I practiced internal medicine for many years. I worked for an amazing, amazing man who taught me so many skills, who believed in me, and just breathed life into me for so many years. He taught me personal people skills that I've carried on into my leadership today. And I had the most amazing nurse when I was practicing. She was my nurse for 10 years. And I think every physician in our practice was extremely jealous and wanted Belinda, my Belinda. And I had the pleasure of having her work for me. And she was amazing because she was able to read what my next move was. And so she would direct me throughout my day, go to this exam room, this person is back from x-ray, call this person back on their lab, go to room 2 next. So she was monitoring my day and just, placing me where I needed to be, which was amazing. Except when I was able to work from home as an entrepreneur, I was clueless because I had somebody that was planning my day. And so I developed a system that worked for me, and it's through much trial and error from all of the things that I learned from these highly successful people. Some of you have planners. I have used planners. I have used planners with spiral bound, planners with 3-ring binding, planners with book binding. I've used all the fun stickers, all the colorful pins. And I'm just going to be really honest, a planner does not work for me because I don't like writing in there. I'm constantly scheduling things on my phone, and I need it to coordinate with my phone. So if that works for you, I want you to continue that, okay? But the ideas that I'm going to share with you are ideas that you can incorporate, whether you're using a planner, a writing planner, or you're using something on your computer. So here's the first tip. The first tip is every Sunday, you need to set aside some time with no distractions to schedule your week. The first thing you want to look at are, what are your non-negotiables? For me, these are the things that are repeats on my calendar because I use a digital calendar rather than a written calendar. And my non-negotiables are exercise, date night, me time, personal growth time. Okay, so those are your non-negotiables, and that means you do not schedule over them. The second thing is have a to-do list that you can pull from, because if you get everything accomplished that week, you can start pulling from your to-do list. I want you to know that everything that you want to achieve this week or in any week needs to be on your calendar. If it isn't on your calendar, I promise you 98% of the time it will not get done. So it has to be on your calendar. So Mark and I, for those of you who know me, we have had date night on Tuesday night for years. And when our kids were young, we got to have that habit of having date night, and we lost connection in our relationship. And so we had to write that date night back in our planners. I know it sounds terrible, but trust me, you need to do it. So when you're looking at your calendar, look at what projects you need to complete this week. What are your priorities? Are you scheduling out your social media? What is it that you're doing? So have those things in front of you so that you can write them out. So let me give you an example. So I am in the process of writing a book, which is so overwhelming to me. I've never been a writer. I'm not going to say I'm not a writer because I am a writer now. I am not trained as an author. And so the thought of writing a book is really overwhelming. And let's say, I want to invest 5 hours this week in writing that book. So I've taught myself to chunk time so it's not overwhelming to me. So if my goal is 5 hours in a week, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to block 5 1-hour chunks on my calendar. If you look at the 5 hours that I want to spend on my book, if I block 5 hours all in one day, that's overwhelming. And I want to set myself up for success and not set myself up for failure. And so I know that smaller chunks work for me, and they work for most people. So I block out that time, and when that time comes, I'm on my phone, I set my timer for 1 hour. And this is magical. Write this down because it's magical. I set my timer and I start doing I start writing. And when that hour is up, I can make a choice on whether I get up and take a break or I continue to go on. But just know that if you're done, you're done, and be okay with being done. Get up, take a break, go outside, take a walk, whatever it is that will give you a little break from that task so that you can get ready for the next task at hand. Do the same with all of your other priorities as well, okay? So if you notice, the things that are on my calendar are not just work related, they're social related, going to lunch with friends, family time, kid time, personal growth and development time. So you need to have a calendar that reaches all aspects of your life, because your life is not work. You have so many different aspects of your life. And I'm going to tell you, if you stay pretty true to your calendar, you stick with it, you will find that you will achieve so much more and have less distractions. But the key is set the timer, take a break before the next task. Okay? So we have two enemies. These are my two enemies for keeping me from being productive. The first one that I absolutely have gotten over is distraction. And here's how I've gotten over the distraction. My mind goes 24/7. And my weird mind is constantly thinking about all the things I need to do, whether it's personal or whether it's business. My mind is going. And so I have learned that I have a running to-do list. And so this is a to-do list that everything that's on my head to do, it goes on that list. And when I have time, I pull that and put that on my calendar. Okay, so I have a to-do list for things that are personal and a to-do list for things that are work-related. And that has helped me tremendously. So distraction is the number one enemy for keeping us from being productive. The second thing is procrastination. I mean, we all know that, right? I'm going to tell you that the timer really helps with procrastination because you know there's a deadline. I only have to do this for a certain amount of time and then I'm done. So that helps a ton. Plus, knowing that at the end of the week, you're going to get to count up all of the things that you did achieve. I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to something like that. I like checking things off my list. So here is what I do. Okay, I used Google Calendar, and the reason why I use Google Calendar is it on my phone and it's on my computer, so they speak to each other. It has a to-do list that I use and I pull from, and it also has a task list. So all of the projects that I'm working on are on in one place, so I'm not searching for them everywhere. I print off my week every Sunday. So I print it off and I sit down, no distractions, and I start filling in the blanks. What are my main priorities for this week? What is it that I want to get done? And I start blocking and chunking that time. And then at the end of the week, I take inventory of my production. You don't know what you need to improve if you don't take inventory, okay? Plus, I like to give myself a gold star at the end of the week when I am productive. So start tracking that for yourself. So it will let you know, okay, why am I not getting to where I want to be? And it's because you weren't as productive as you thought. Okay, and what are those changes you need to make? That's highly important. Okay, lastly, I want you to know you need to give yourself some grace because incorporating a new habit takes time to become a discipline. And you're not going to get it right in the beginning. In fact, it may be way off in the beginning. You may overschedule or underschedule. So give yourself grace and continue in that process. So let's recap what we just talked about. Okay, number one, set aside time on Sunday. No distractions, you and your calendar. Decide what your non-negotiables are. Mine are just on the calendar automatically most of the time, and so I don't have to add those non-negotiables most every week. Remember, if you want it done, it has to go on your calendar. That's tip number 3. Tip number 4, time block your priorities for the week. So chunk them out. That makes it so much easier to take bite-sized pieces of your tasks than having a large, overwhelming task. Get a timer or set a timer to decrease your distractions, okay? That's like been a game changer for me, literally. And then remember to give the system some time, okay? By incorporating this into your life, I guarantee you're going to be more productive, and you will be able to complete more projects in more areas of your life than you could ever imagine. So look at those tips and see what is it that you're using currently and what is it that you can incorporate today to give yourself more areas that you can produce and become more successful. Become that leader of leaders. You guys, when we want to lead people, the most important person we have to lead first is us. And it's developing the habits that turn into disciplines that help us lead ourselves. So I know that there are some of you that joined this podcast thinking, I just want to hear a word of encouragement. I'm so discouraged right now. And I didn't give you anything about belief or mindset. It was just something that was, scheduling. So I want you to know, for those of you who are reaching for those goals, for reaching for your next level of greatness, there will be days when self-doubt comes in. And on the other side of self-doubt, I want you to know there's always massive growth. Massive, massive growth. The most important piece of your journey is don't quit. Don't quit. You have to keep going with that journey. There are so many times when you will doubt that this is the journey that you are supposed to be on. There were so many times in my journey in different businesses that I doubted, did I really feel that tug in my heart to do this business? Did I really feel that tug in my heart to grow to that next level of leadership? And I'm telling you, if you're questioning it, you felt it. And so you need to keep going. If it's not where you're supposed to be, keep moving, because God's going to redirect you into the place you need to go. So don't be discouraged, my friend. Self-doubt is the enemy of your success. So I want you to be bold and remove the lies of self-doubt, the lies that maybe you have let into your head because someone else said them. Maybe you don't feel like you're being supported at this time or encouraged at this time, or it seems like everything is going the wrong way and not the way up. This is just part of the journey. Keep going. Get rid of the lies of self and just know you are here on earth for a mighty purpose. And I want you to shine and shine bright. If nobody tells you this today, it will be me. I believe in you. I know that you can accomplish great things because you were created by a creator who loves you more than you can ever imagine. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been my pleasure to speak of some things that have helped me tremendously. And if this podcast has really helped you, it would mean the world to me if you would share it with your family and friends. And if it deserves a 5-star, give me a 5-star. That gets the word out more about the podcast. Follow me on Instagram at Deanna Herron. I would love to hear from you. And lastly, there's an ebook that you can get on Minding Your Mind on my website, deannaherron.net. You can also find all of my podcasts posted on my website on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. So God bless you. I look forward to talking to you again next week. Bye, everyone. Be inspired by the Deanna Herron podcast show at deannaherron.net.